Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this 84th episode of the Driving Digital Stand-Up. I haven't posted a video in a little bit. I've been spending a little bit of time upgrading the blog and relaunching the Star CIO Digital Trailblazer community. Stay tuned for that as I launch it over the next few months. I'm really excited today to be talking about what CIO and CHRO must champion in driving digital transformation, what they need to do to partner their HR departments and the IT departments coming off of a couple of years of the pandemic and now moving into this new generation of AI. Hi, I'm Isaac Sokolic. I'm the president of Star CIO. Over 1,000 articles written on digital transformation topics by 2 books, Driving Digital and Digital Trailblazer. And today, again, we're going to be talking about how IT departments and HR departments are going to be partnering over the next few years around driving transformation in their organizations. So if you've watched other episodes of the Driving Digital Stand-Up, you know I use this quote a lot. It speaks to the pace of technology is increasing. We need to reevaluate our priorities frequently. You will always be transforming. And as a CIO and a digital trailblazer, what I'm doing is always looking for the opportunities. Which businesses, which product lines, which geographies, and which departments really have the most digital transformation opportunities where we should make our investments. Now, quite frankly, I'm usually looking at the growth areas, marketing and sales. How can they be more efficient bringing leads in? How the pipeline can be driven more to close sales faster. I'm looking at our products and services, particularly in industries where I can plug technologies in. I'm thinking about manufacturing and IoT, and I'm thinking about healthcare and becoming more data driven in how they're operating. So I'm always looking for these areas in products and services that we deliver to customers where IT and technology can actually make a difference, in data and analytics and AI can make a difference. I'm also looking at other departments, but usually those are around becoming more efficient and improving quality. Human resources over the last few years has become dramatically more important for partnering around digital transformation. And part of the reason is around talent, being able to recruit people, being able to improve our learning and development programs so that we can cultivate digital trailblazers. I'm also thinking about the pandemic, how we had to support hybrid working, change our policies, create new technologies around that, support more end-to-end workflow technologies and automation. All that drove change management and required our partnering with HR around changing how we're working with different departments, what people's job descriptions were. That's all in the past, and in our future, we're now getting into AI and generative AI. It's changing every department's workflow. It's changing everybody's job description. And as we're thinking about as CIOs and digital trailblazers, where are we going to find opportunities in using generative AI? We really need human resources as a partner around how people are evolving their way of work and developing a new future of work. So that's what I'm seeing right now going into the future. And I'm going to share some examples of where IT departments and HR can partner and how CIO and CHRO need to think about that partnership in driving digital transformation. So I want to ground you in some data on some of the challenges IT and HR really have together. This is the first one I'm going to read off to you. Less than 47% of employees don't know what's expected of them at work. Now that's a real problem for HR. Right, when you think about half of the company doesn't know what's expected of them, that's a performance issue. That's a real issue with manager and employee relationships and leader and manager relationships. But it's also a problem for the CIO. If I'm trying to drive transformation, I'm trying to get people to do things differently at a much accelerated pace, this is a real problem. How do we improve our communications? How do we make sure people understand our vision? I've talked a lot about creating vision statements. I offer my vision statement template over at Star CIO for all of you to start using. So this is a real important reality check for IT and for HR as you're thinking about digital transformation initiatives. Here's a second one. 90% of HR departments say their onboarding experience is good, but yet 43% have a really bad drop-off rate post-joining within 6 months. right? 43% leave and 34% have candidate no-shows. So if our onboarding experience from the time the person applies to the time that the person is in the door, and I'm including the recruiting experience in there, the first touch points a potential employee or an employee has with your organization, and they're telling you their experience isn't good. You know, IT, we've faced this before. We know what this looks like when we think we're better than we are. A big part of this is communications that our HR departments need to really streamline and come up with ways to attract people and get them interested in working with us. But there's a huge technology component once you walk into the door in terms of getting access to services, getting access to your equipment that I'm sure we can do a lot better job of. Here's another one. Is your organization helping you imagine how your job may change in the future with technology or other advancements? Important, 76% of workers, 43% of organizations helping workers in the future of work. That's a pretty sizable gap. When we think about AI, automation, all these things are how they're changing marketing and finance and even HR. What are we doing to make sure that our employees are feeling safe, are welcoming the experimentation, want to participate in it, and we've created a vision for what their job is going to look like in the future. So we've got a couple of areas here just in the data where we have some issues with what our employees are reporting to us and what we're delivering to them. IT has faced this before. It's important for transformation, and there are technology solutions around improving these numbers. So folks, number one area around this for IT and HR to partner on, areas like onboarding, learning, setting vision statements, setting clear direction, all very important for running digital transformation programs. So let's jump into another area that's really key to digital transformation. What you're seeing here is what a typical 1-week sprint looks like for organizations practicing agile. You can, double it up if you're doing 2-week sprints. The point is that agile teams practicing digital transformation are doing things on 1 and 2 week cycles. They're starting today. They're focusing on what they're committing. They're meeting every day for a stand-up. They're finishing their sprint. They're demoing what their results are to customers, and then they're repeating the process. So this is what we're teaching people working in digital transformation to do, not just our technologists. I'm hoping that we get our data specialists, business stakeholders, our marketers, anybody working on a transformation program really should be practicing this together as a multidisciplinary team. But then when we start thinking about how we do performance management with HR, right, and how teams are measured and how individuals are measured in terms of their performance, there's a couple of pictures that come to mind. This is one of them. This looks like a full yearly cycle. We start in May with your manager. You get to March or April. Obviously, the timeframes could be different for every organization, but we're looking at a year-long cycle. So my employee, my digital trailblazer, is thinking about today, the next 2 weeks, and the next 2 months when it comes to managing releases and putting things out to customers. But HR is asking me to work in year cycles. And of course, I'm really going to forget all the things that I did 6, 9, 10 months ago. I got to do a lot of work to fill out that performance plan and remember all my accomplishments. This does not work for me, and it's a good area for CIOs and CHROs to partner with and say, how we can do this that's better aligned to what we're asking people to do in digital transformation and in agile and working in sprints. Now, here's another picture of this. This is what happens if we go the other angle and we say, okay, we're going to work with sprints with you, Isaac. We're going to do this in 2-week chunks. And now we're going to try to do a bi-weekly calendar for people to do updates to their performance reviews. Well, this also doesn't work for me. It's a lot of overhead. It's a lot of asking manual work from employees to continually update their performance. It's a little bit demoralizing. And what I'm really looking for is some kind of balance about what input I'm asking employees to provide, and also, more importantly, how we're automating and pulling data out of our systems, particularly our agile project management tools, and using that as part of performance management. This is where IT and the CIO can come in and say, you know what, we can pull systems, we can pull information out of Jira or Azure DevOps. We can pull information out of the CRM or any workflow system and start using this, particularly with generative AI, to get smarter about pre-capturing information that can go into a performance review. So these are another area where CIOs and CHROs can partner on and really make a smarter and more efficient and more fun organization to work for. So I want to share with you a couple more places to go to really learn more about the CIO, CHRO, ITHR partnerships. Look at your company as if it were your first day on the job. This is some really good advice for any digital trailblazer. This is how you really dream up digital transformation. And I talk about the role of HR in digital transformation in one post. Another one where partnering is really important is around lifelong learning. What I find is HR departments are focused on more generic learning exercises and skills-based development. IT is really focused on getting certifications and learning different technologies. And of course, I'm more focused on lifelong learning. I'm focused more on about leadership and what digital trailblazers have to learn. So there's another post here around just where CIOs and CHROs can partner on lifelong learning, and then really driving an experimental culture. Right? So many times we say we want to have an experimental culture, but when we hit our first hiccup and there's a problem, guess what? We're quickly blaming people and we're not allowing them to continue to experiment, to fail and learn from those experiences and to create learning moments. So 3 different areas, 3 different blog posts. I'm sharing the URLs here on the channel. You can find them in the comments to be able to go and click and learn more from them. All right, so 3 different areas of digital transformation that IT, HR, CIO, and CHRO can partner on. First, around the entire hiring, onboarding, and retention areas, key areas of HR where technology can have a significant input. Then performance management, how we're operating in digital transformation and agile, very different than how we usually do performance management, and how we can use technology and data from it in our workflow systems to really augment a performance management process. And then changing how we think about lifelong learning, going beyond just what we think of skills and learning technologies to learning practices and really developing our next generation of digital trailblazers. To help you with this, I'm slowly launching my new community of Star CIO Digital Trailblazers. It really brings together 3 different capabilities into one platform: learning, advisory, leadership. You can see the URL at the bottom, starcio.com/digital-trailblazer/community. That's the current sign up to get access to the community, and when it's fully launched, it will launch to the new one. But do sign up for the existing version and you'll get early access to my new Star CIO Digital Trailblazer community that I'm launching. Thank you everybody for joining this week's Driving Digital Stand Up, and I will see you in future episodes. Have a great day.